interested to see. I think, for me, what kind of smacks of like the seriousness. We've got these Absolved guys coming in, and there's 4 of them with the abbreviation in their summoner names,
which is helpful.
So yeah, it definitely is. But also, it just kind of to me seems like they are definitely very into it. I think as well because of the okay, so they've subbed a top laner in on the bear with me a second while I
on the
Radiant side.
Radiant side, yes.
So they lose a ban.
Yeah, so I did see Kiao talking about on Twitter saying that they were going to be prioritizing this 7-8 man roster. So it is nice to see them hopefully subbing in Tolium and subbing out for Dino Ricard every now and then. I do see Radiant as an extremely volatile team. I'm really not quite sure how they'll end up. I do peg them to come around 3rd in the league, but with people like Tolium, Dandy Chap, Tyrion the jungler, and Hyojung being in there, I do expect things to be a little bit more coin flip. Hyojung role swapping, Tyrion, Dandy Chap being known as an Eve one trick, and Tolium, who unfortunately isn't playing today, being quite an off meta god. They are more of a coin flip team than most of the rest, but with Dino Ricard, maybe that stabilizes things a little bit. Picking things like Kled, Aatrox, more of these meta picks in the top lane.
Yeah, for sure. Definitely going to be interesting to see. We do have the Corki Lucian removed. Corki, is obviously something that he's been just in the meta forever. It seems like, one of the safer picks. And thankfully, I suppose, from a spectator standpoint, not going to be the boring laning phase that sometimes Corki can deliver. But the Kai'Sa being the first pick over on that Radiant side. So definitely interesting. Got that hyper carry potential. Mm-hmm. I feel, for me, one of my favorite ADs to watch. So I'm kind of interested to see how this ends up going.
Yeah, and Jin Sane or Jin Lightning, Kai'Sa is his most played in solo queue. He's also one of the best ADs in the league, going by competitive history and also solo queue. So it's interesting to see how much of a priority they are putting on his favorite pick there, picking it up first. And we see that being countered with a Nautilus and a Nico in the red side.
Yeah, the Nico once again coming in. I don't know at this point whether we'd still maybe consider it a bit of a flex pick. Is it just going to go straight to that top lane, do you think? Or is there maybe potential for the support or even the mid?
Looking at the accounts and looking at what people are playing, I would expect it to go into the mid lane. It's second most picked, and it's not really seen on Death by Lollipops or Res QQ, I don't think. So I would expect it to be a mid lane, but the flex is always possible. I mean, you really should be playing it in top lane right now if you want to be abiding by the meta. But that's probably 2 proxy picks coming in, unless it's Garen bot lane with Yuumi, but we can't be too sure. Yep. And then the Amumu coming out. We'll try and get those figured out for you as quick as we can.
Okay, so the Garen is Morgana.
Mm-hmm.
Waiting on the Amumu at this point.
Yeah, so Morgana coming through. Really, really strong duo with the Kai'Sa and the Kled. I mentioned this Dino Ricard, really, really big Kled player. Picking out into a blind matchup, we'll see what happens. That doesn't mean he's going to get to counter it against something like an Aatrox, maybe if that came out. Death by Lollipops, I see him as quite a bruiser style player with the stuff that I've been seeing him play in solo queue. Plays a lot of the Renekton, plays a bit of the Jax as well. It'll be interesting to see how he deals with the Kled, as this is Dino Ricard's really, really big pick, and as well as it being buffed in recent patches, it's going to be really scary.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, Kled's always been that kind of steamroll type of top laner where, just constantly looking to fight. Mm-hmm. Obviously with, the assistance to the team that he provides with his ultimate as well in the team fights and things, just a heavy engage and can just take over a game. And then obviously the buff has really helped things for sure. Yeah, but we'll see. Kane getting removed. We get the Hecarim removed as well. Slightly, at least as far as I'm aware, a little bit more solo QE type junglers.
Yeah, no,
don't provide as much for the team.
The Hecarim as well as the Evelynn is a really, really big pick for Tyrion. Obviously, we saw the Evelynn being banned out first, as it is his one trick. But them taking out Jarvan and now Hecarim as well, they're really leaving Tyrion on some of his lower end picks and trying to really neutralize that aspect of their team.
Right, and it's a good way to go for sure, pulling out the target bans on someone who is a bit more of a one trick rather than a well-rounded player. You know, it works in solo queue, right? But when you come into this sort of area where they have had the time to do their research, they may well have looked and seen, obviously, Evelyn's the prominent thing, but then it's kind of like, right, who are the champions that he moves back on when like that Evelyn gets banned, or, you know, maybe trying out new things. And yeah, it might end up being a bit of a difficult one for Tyrion.
Taking out the Sejuani now as well, it's like they've just gone on his OP.GG, seen his top 4 picks and said, you know what, we're not going to let him play any of these at all. I mean, it'll be interesting to see what he falls back onto now. I would assume this pick comes out. The Kindred. Okay. Very interesting. So that, not something that I would expect from Tyrion. It is quite actually, I can't remember when it was last played in competitive. I think it is still, it's okay right now, but maybe not his best pick. I think you're really falling on the last sort of rungs of your ladder there if you're Tyrion.
Yeah, definitely. But I think he's probably admitted to himself with the way, again, and the Vel'Koz as well.
Yeah, no,
that'll
definitely be going towards the mid lane. I know Mr. Gun, who is in game here, is mental. Big Vel'Koz player. I think he's hit master tier playing it before. So yeah, not surprised to see that come in here. And the last pick on the red side, hovering the Mordekaiser. It has been nerfed recently, but it's, you know, still, people still think it's quite strong. Karma? Kennen? There we go. And the Kennen comes out.
All right, finally making the decision.
Yeah, so Kennen into Kled. I haven't actually played that matchup in a really, really long time. I'm just trying to think of how it would go. I mean, I assume the Kennen wins out on that one. If you just sit back, you chill out a bit, you just get your Klepto stacks. Hopefully the Kennen pulls off a bit better than we've seen earlier in the night, but they'll just get that lobby remade now, and I'll move us to our cast a little screen.
But yeah, I think the Kennen can definitely be interesting. Kled, like I've said, is all about the fighting, all about kind of, you know, making sure he lands the bear trap, pulls you in, and Kennen's quite a good pick to deny that. You know, you just kind of lightning ball zoom away as soon as he tries to engage on you. So always been a difficult one in the top lane to just play against and also to kill. He is that safe kind of scale up kind of champion. So a pretty smart pick, I think.
Yeah, no, and looking towards these two teams, Radiant, who I would peg to be the stronger team here, I would expect them to be playing through that top side heavily. It shows a lot of confidence to just straight up blind pick your most played champion in Kled and say, you know, pick whatever you want. I don't care. I'm going to beat you on it anyway. And I would expect to see a lot of priority put towards there. Jinsane as well on the Kaiser again. A lot of comfort coming out tonight as we expected. His most played there as well. It will be interesting to see Hyojung in his role swap, not on something that's Lux. He role swapped very recently from jungle, but in his solo queue games, he's only really been playing Lux. Lux now being heavily nerfed, really not as much of a top tier pick as it used to be. So it'll be interesting to see him transition that.
And still be a good support. I mean, that's what they had looked into, it seems, on the Absolved side, because I believe they banned the Lux originally. So again, doing their research and really, maybe there is the potential, you know, looking at some of those elos, looking at some of the experience that is over on the Radiant side, there is the potential that, you know, they could be kind of the better players, but they don't seem as well rounded in terms of the champion pools. As someone who doesn't have a great deal of experience of watching these guys, that immediately strikes out to me with just the way that the draft has gone.
Yeah, no, definitely. And if I was looking for a way of Absolved to win this, I do think it's heavily Radiant favored. I would look towards that top lane. You've managed to get the pick that you want, the Kennen into the Kled. If you can get Sejuani up there, try and cause some ganks to come off. Sejuani is a brilliant ganker, and she's probably one of the best junglers in the game right now. If Gecko can try and pull something off there, that will be really impactful for the rest of the game and maybe shake things up for Radiant's plans.
Yeah, and I mean, we've just seen in the previous game as well, with the fantastic Nico performance from Ego Speed, the huge ultimates coming through. Kind of, again, there is that potential, some great flanks as well, catching off the back line. You've got to be aware that Nico is ever present. They have a huge, it has to be kind of pointed out as well on the Absolved side, they have a huge team fight composition here. We've talked a little bit about, the lanes and things like that, but you've got the Kennen ult, you've got the Nico ult, you've got kind of the depth charge to lock someone up, you've got that Sivir ultimate, of course, to just make life easier, then the Glacial Prison, it's kind of, if all those ults land, I think they win every single team fight that they take. So it is a question of kind of outplaying things over on the Radiant side.
Yeah, no, I see a huge amount of great engage on the Absolve side, which could be the saving grace. I mean, if Tyrion doesn't perform well on this Kindred, and it's something that, we wouldn't expect him maybe to, being such a Evelyn one trick and that everything being banned out from him, if he doesn't perform well, maybe that's where they see themselves taking the advantages and trying to really push that jungler to his limits.
Yeah, I think that's definitely it. They are banking pretty hugely on Tyrion kind of being a little bit of dead weight, so to speak. So at this point, I feel even if he just kind of goes even, if he's in a comfortable position, he's definitely not the carry here. They're not relying on him to outperform everyone on the Absolve side. They just need him to be kind of available and make sure that he's not kind of, dropping the ult a bit too early because he's getting almost one shot kind of thing. So I think there is a great deal of potential for that game plan that Absolved have got to not really work out. And also, we've talked about this huge engage heavy team. A lot of that can kind of be negated by the Kindred ult, just, wasting ultimates going in. So they need to be careful not to maybe use them stacked, not to use them too aggressively, bait out the Kindred ult, and then go in with like another big ult from that Absolve side.
And everything they've sacrificed in terms of putting Tyrion Dandy Chap on a less comfortable champion. They've given top lane his most comfortable pick, mid lane arguably one of his most comfortable picks, and the AD carry on his most comfortable pick. And if these lanes pop off in the way that you would expect them to, it's going to be really difficult for Absolve to be able to hold things up.
Yeah, I'm interested to see how it goes. It seems they have this great strategy kind of coming into it that they've worked on. They have definitely planned out this draft and what they want to be going with. They've managed to get pretty much everything that I think they wanted, and also, again, like we said, forcing Tyrion onto the weaker pick of his. But if it doesn't work out, how deep does the strat book go? I feel like there's maybe only a page or two available, and then after that, they're kind of stuck for ideas. And what we had talked about, what you guys talked about at the top of the show especially, is it's an evening of comfort picks. We saw it in the previous game, how well that Kalista went for gold. And coming into this game, it's kind of the same for Radiant, where Absolved have gone, right, let's make a team. And who knows, maybe they could have been working on that, but I feel like they're perhaps not as comfortable as the Radiant side.
And although Hyojo maybe not something he is as comfortable on, the Morgana pick here will be really relevant. It's such a good pick against the Nautilus. It's going to negate his ultimate so much. And I think about all of the CC and everything we've commented on being on the red side, Absolved side, he will be able to negate a lot of that engage if it comes on the Kai'Sa, for example.
Yeah, it will be really interesting to see. Should be getting into the game pretty quickly as that delay catches up. I don't know. What would you say at this point, though, is going to be the most important lane for that Radiant side?
I think if they manage to hold up in the top side with the pick that they have preferred, then they're going to be doing pretty well. The bot side, honestly, if they start to fall behind with the counter pick in support, I think that's where my worries lie most of all. I think if Sejuani doesn't get down there and start to prevent the push and start to prevent the amount of pressure going into them, it's going to be really difficult for them.
All right, well, I'm pretty excited. The final game of the day, of course, here of our first week of the UKEL, presented by MSI, of course. It's going to be a really interesting one. We've got a lot of comfort picks over on the Radiant side. Meanwhile, we've got this huge wombo combo team for Absolved. They have got a hell of a lot of confidence in this comp right now. And I don't know, I feel like we're either going to be seeing another stomp or actually a really close game that is kept close by Radiant's mechanics and obviously by Absolved's huge ultimates. They just need to be very, very careful. That Vel'Koz, if he is not dealt with, can just mow them down. If they're too kind of, tunneled into hitting the wombo combo, so to speak, it could end up going very, very badly for them.
Yeah, definitely. And as we look to get into the game, I'm trying to think if we can expect any sort of level 1s to come out of, or any sort of plays. Maybe the nerves will have gotten the better of most of the teams tonight in that they've not gone for invades, but most of the comps really haven't suited it. Maybe they can try something on either side. They do have Morgana and Nautilus, both quite decent hook champs or Q champs. So maybe something could happen there. But it seems to be a fairly standard start that everyone's going for.
I think, again, it just kind of comes down to, like you say, maybe the nerves, the fact that it is that first week. Nobody wants to be going a bit crazy. I think as they become a little bit more comfortable, we might see it a bit more often. Would be nice, that early excitement, because at the moment all we've got is a good 2 minutes of just kind of standing around and waiting for buffs to spawn. So it does make life a little bit difficult from a caster standpoint when there's not really a great deal going on.
That's all right.
Ooh, mana spent, but other than that, not a great deal going on. Yeah, just the missing pings kind of all over the map. Interesting. It does look like Tyrion is going to be starting. No, he's not. Okay. I thought I saw Dino Ricard moving down, towards the blue. I was like, oh, is he going to be starting on that blue side of things? But not going to be the case.
They are looking to push in on this red side, though.
Yeah, the late invade, maybe? No, I think just sort of moving together, making sure to get some vision down so they can track where Tyrion is going to be moving.
Very standard start, very nice leash towards the Kindred there. They will spot her out on that ward, so they do know that she's moving up to the blue side now, not taking any of her camps on the red side. And you see Sejuani moving up to the Krugs now as well.
Now, is it something, kind of the Sejuani, is it safe to kind of go for that solo leash? It seemed to me like he was taking a fair amount of damage, which could definitely affect, the first sort of gank.
With it was quite a while ago, but with the changes towards the E, she definitely does take camps a lot easier. She can just spam that E on camps as much as she wants. She does deal a lot of damage, especially to single target jungle camps such as the red. So she should be okay.
Well, there you go. We'll see where, again, it could be that mid-pathing. This is a really early, well, I suppose, compared to their opponents, really early level 2. It gives a hell of a lot of pressure across to that bot lane of the Radiant side. And yeah, the Nautilus as yet to hit level 2, so a little bit problematic here.
Yeah, and I mean, it's very early in the game, but that CS lead, there's not many minions to come back in, and he's already down about 5 CS. That's almost an entire wave. But then again, that's being echoed on the top side, although Dinocar getting a gank here.
Ooh, indeed. A little bit overextended on the side of the cannon. Is the damage going to be there? Not quite. Not quite. I think if they'd have committed, possibly get the kill, but again, the nerves sort of early on don't want to be taking that risk. They will be happy to force the back.
I think it would have been worth going for the flash final auto attack there, but maybe that's just Tyrion not being very aware of the champion, how much damage it did with the E cast.
Right, again, it's that maybe lack of confidence that he's got on the Kindred.
Yeah, definitely.
All the same, the wave not in a terrible position for death by lollipop, so gets to hold on to his TP. There is a silver lining there, but obviously the potential of now the CS discrepancy that's going to come through. Again, Dino Rakai, if he can control that top lane, we have said it's going to be great. It's going to be great for Radiant as well as himself. Missed Nautilus just by an inch.
Yeah, the CS differences in bot lane have actually evened up a decent amount, which is fine. And Dino Rakai here is going to be picking up a lot there. I mean, they're going to be going for a second gank here. I don't think he's been spotted out. And another kill bot, maybe?
Not entirely sure. I mean, there's fights going on all over the place towards the top side. Tyrion is waiting. The bot lane, a little bit of trades. Yeah, it's a forced gank at the end of the day. Just not really comfortable. Again, that cannon very, very difficult Seemed like there was a moment, I think what stopped the back, it seemed like there was a moment that he was going to move in to try and ward. Spine coming in here, but unfortunately on the wrong target. This Kai'Sa taking a hell of a lot of damage, dealing a lot. The gank coming in from behind, and it will indeed be Gecko getting the first blood, and the Morg going to fall as well. The Sivir picking that one up is pretty ideal, so really good stuff coming in from the bot lane, and I have to say it looks a little bit too confident there from Jinsane, I think.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I'm not sure if the Sejuani was spotted on the ward that they had in the brush, but if it was, then it's a big mistake from the side of Radiant.
Yeah, for sure. And this is what we were talking about. It's comfort picks, but if they're not comfortable on them, if they're not in a good spot, then this wombo combo, this team fight comp could just steamroll you all day long for sure.
Yeah, and a CS Leader 10 being picked up for Dino Rakar, definitely the highlight player of this team and someone we're going to be looking to carry this matchup, especially now at the bot lane. Who else you would expect to be picking up the damage and the slack for the rest of the team? Going 0-2 now is going to put a lot of pressure on his shoulders to be able to perform in the matchup.
It's kind of slowing away down here, though. It does seem that Gecko wants to move back towards that bot lane, try and keep the pressure on. Maybe, you know, pinging the dragon at this point. Maybe moving on towards that. Again, Jinsane is so aggressive, left so far forwards. I mean, the Black Shield comes in, but it's going to be going down. Actually flashing in to try and get the kill here. Not going to happen. Still had heal available. I mean, it came close, and then there was just a heal. So I feel like Jinsane is very early on, as we say, maybe a little bit tilted. That is a very forced attempt to try and get that kill.
Yeah, and you see the difference between the jungle pressure that's being applied to both sides now, succeeding bot, and every time that Tyrion goes up there, Kennen just pops the E and he walks off. There's nothing that he can do, really. They were close on that first gank, but, I mean, the rest of it, there's just nothing has happened.
Yeah, and I don't know, that's twice as well for me, Jinsane just getting a bit too aggro. I respect the chutzpah, you know, the confidence, but unfortunately you've got to keep track of where that jungler is, particularly.
And I mean, when you compare the 3 kills that have occurred down bot lane to what a 20 CS deficit top, it just doesn't really compare, I don't think.
Yeah, definitely.
I mean, the gold lead still not too big on the side of Absolved, but it's still definitely a great start from them. From a lot of people would be expecting Radiant to be starting off well in the game and taking the game overall.
Early Moby boots coming in as well for the Nautilus. Again, looking to kind of keep the aggressive pressure up towards bot, but also the roam potential. You know, the amount of damage that Vel'Koz can dish out. He moves in towards mid, drops the depth charge, suddenly, you know, it's probably a kill coming in. Let's be real. So,
yeah, definitely.
Scary stuff. As soon as he disappears, everyone across the map has got to be careful. You know, the jungler towards the bot side and the mid lane as well. Just need to play a little bit more safe when he disappears.
Yeah, and you can see Void Terror coming down now, actually. I don't think they know that Tyrion is there, but they're going in.
Gonna land the hook and not quite able to get the root because of the black shield. It's a beautiful
little top lane TP's coming
through. Both TPs, indeed. The double TP root comes through. A huge ultimate. Stunning up to. Kennen flashes in as well. Gonna keep that CC coming in as well as the damage. I'm surprised we've not seen all 3 kills coming in for the Absolved side, but ultimately I'm pretty sure they're gonna be happy with 2. And now that, you know, the mid and the top are down here, going to be getting this first tower surely.
Those ultimates were so good. That was such a good combo from the Nico and the Kennen as well to come in afterwards.
All right, not going too deep on it. A little bit of an exchange, but yeah, I am kind of surprised that they ended up, again, it is part of that game plan. It is what they want to go for, the double TP, the wombo combo kind of ultimates and things coming in. But they went aggressive when the jungler was there for Tyrion. It was a good bind for sure coming out from Hyojung onto the Nautilus. But again, as we saw a little bit earlier on as well, just kind of binding the wrong target, unfortunately. You know, Rescue is pretty happy to just sit out in the open, and there is top lane. That's the way it's been going. I suppose the one thing here is Dino Rakar opting not to TP down, has now, at the very least, gotten a solid level, I would say, on his lane opponent, as well as a 30 CS discrepancy at the moment. So the kill and the assist for the Kennen is not quite as big as it seems.
Yeah, but I understand the game plan that Absolved have come into this with. They're going to be putting a lot of pressure down bot side. They've gotten the pick that they wanted to top, but they're not looking to use that to exploit it. They're just using it to keep safe, not let Dino Ricard pick up too much of a lead, sit back, get the Klepto stacks, get the farm, just stay safe, eat away from the jungle when he comes to you, and it's really working out well for them. They got a 2k gold lead, they've got a dragon. It's going really, really well. I honestly didn't expect it from Absolved, but credit to them.
Indeed. Okay, the ultimate coming in from the Vel'Koz. Meanwhile, in the bot lane, depth charge gets dropped onto the Kai'Sa. Sivir going to start charging forwards, but the damage being dished out by this Kai'Sa is absolutely huge. Shutdown comes through. Don't think they're going to find the Nautilus unless they can find a quick bind. Flash forward comes in from the Morg. No chance to respond. Rescue just says, whatever, man, I'll take you on. And he wins the fight, and he's able to walk away with a bit of extra gold in his pocket.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, from the first kill, you would say that that's the aggression that Jin Lightning has been able to perform as paying off, but again, just goes too aggressive again with the second kill, a bit too greedy, and they just give it back again.
For sure. And I think with the pressure that they're getting, you know, off of that, it's kind of negated, right? They get the shutdown, and then it's kind of just flipped on its head. There's no opportunity for Jinsane to earn a bit more CS, you know, to maybe get a plate or whatever, because he just immediately gets taken down. So, somewhat of a shame. Wow, that narrowly missed there in middle. Very lucky indeed, Mental, to get away. Those boots definitely helping out. And you can see here, Dino Ricard really does want to fight in the top lane. He just can't really find it. Going to be going deep for this. However, the stopwatch comes through. I mean, it's worth, I would say, to burn that, as well as the Slicing Maelstrom going to be down. So for a while, you know, early on, level 1, not much cooldown reduction. It is going to be off the table for a little bit.
Yeah, and you can see how hard he is trying to gain some sort of advantage in this lane. He's pushing up as hard as he can. He's going for these trades every point he can, but maybe he goes for a dive here. Kled is extremely good at diving, especially if he can get that reset off.
Does have the Tiamat. I think before he goes in, it looks like he just wants to get a little bit more pressure. Here comes the Nautilus, though, barreling forwards. Gonna miss the hook. Doesn't have ultimate available. Again, Jinsane moves forward so confident. Gonna get the kill, but he gets traded back. You know what I mean? It's kind of... I think honestly, I kind of hate to say it. It's a little bit KDA hunting in a sense. You know what I mean? He doesn't seem to be thinking about the bigger picture. Just, if I get a kill, it's okay. But they've now pretty much given up Infernal for that. Flashes coming in all over the shop. Depth charge lands, but unfortunately there's not much follow-up from the Sejuani. So 2 flashes for 1 at the end of the day. Yeah,
no, it's like deja vu. It's almost like the exact same play happened. He jumps forward, he does get the kill off, which is, you know, it's a consolation, but it's still just a 1-for-1 trade. I suppose when you're behind, the 1-for-1 trade, still good for you, but it's a shame they're not doing a bit more.
Yeah, definitely for me, it just seems, you know, they lost that first fight, and ever since, Jinsane's just looked a little tilted, a little annoyed in his play style. You know, he wants a lot more. Kind of feels that the pressure is on him, on this Kai'Sa particularly. We do have 2 hyper carry kind of champions, and I mean that Kai'Sa damage, I think over the extended fights against the Sivir is definitely a little bit higher, especially if you can, with the Kai'Sa ultimate per se, or, you know, something along those lines, like dodge the boomerang. Yeah, it does negate a lot of that Sivir damage. So it kind of makes sense. Even while behind, there is a lot of damage being dished out from Jinsane. It's just like we say, it always seems that Gecko is around whenever an engage comes in. He's just reading this bot lane beautifully.
Yeah, exactly. That's another thing I would have highlighted. The tiering ganks that Oiwu in may be a successful one here coming off.
Ooh, maybe. Gonna land the slow. Flash comes through to dodge the bind. It will indeed be Rescue taking the flak. Unfortunately, his sacrifice is completely in vain because Fuyu falls. It doesn't really matter. We've got to fight over towards the top side of things as well. Dino Riccardo, he wants out, of course, because there's no one around to help him. There is no chance.
Oh, no.
That's a bit unfortunate, though. We'll see. There's still an opportunity, but not going to happen. Yeah, indeed. Gecko goes down, and You can kind of see the idea that he was looking to get away. Unfortunately, the fight coming through, and here is the reset. Misses the bear trap. Meanwhile, on the bottom side of things, we've got a fight coming in. The Nico left all on his lonesome. Void Terror going to fall in at middle. Dive is successful. Will he get away? No, he will not.
He saw the highlight play in his eyes.
Coming back, but Jesus.
Yeah, no, kills all across the map there, as well as a dragon being taken out for Radiant. They've really stepped back into this game now with that play, and that's exactly what I was about to talk about. The Tyrion ganks, compared to the Gecko ones, just haven't been pulling off. But that one, just in a single gank, they've managed to equalize the gold lead, actually extend it. They've also managed to pick up the Infernal Drake, and that's just such a turning point, if you ask me. Oh.
Once again, getting a bit aggressive, staying maybe a bit too long. The stopwatch
moving in though, and the TP coming in as well.
Anything for you. It could be huge indeed, just buying a little bit of time. However, that TP from Dino Rakai is going to kind of be caught, and the return TP is coming in from the Absolved side. It looks like they're probably going to end up cleaning up here, at least the one kill coming in for the Kled. He does have a lot of targets to be hitting, but unfortunately gets CC'd up. Down goes Hyo Jung as well, and the first tower going to be coming through in the bot side. I mean, it's been ripe for the taking for a while, but yeah, they gain a little bit of confidence, I would say, on the Radiant side, but that fight, it is kind of, you know, Absolved just putting them back in their place.
Just everyone piling in on bot. It's a roller coaster, the game back and forth. They had it in their grasp, and now it's just gone again. 2k gold lead towards the side of Absolved now.
Because I think the thing is as well, they're just not quite respecting this double TP pressure. Doing a really, really good job, Void Terror and Death by Lollipops, of not kind of getting greedy and using it to TP back into lane or anything along those lines. They are making sure that their timers are synced pretty much, so they can move towards bot for the second time together.
Yeah, I mean, it almost seems that every single play of this game is destined to happen twice. You've got the double TP happening twice. You've got the Jin Lightning coming through there, killing himself twice, just for the 1-for-1. I'm trying to think of what else has happened twice now. Just seems to be a game of deja vu.
Yeah, a little bit. The sort of the formulas, and ooh, it's a good route. He's not confident. Definitely caught mental off, but unsure of whether his teammates are around. So not wanting to commit too heavily.
Catch out.
Bind coming in here, they're going to follow up on this. Again, I think it's a little bit risky. Tyrion moves forward, drops the ultimate, but it extends his life, it doesn't save it.
Yeah, no, not really
Mental
thinking about
through,
where the mid laners are in respect. They were 3v4 in that position. Tyrion just going a bit too aggressive there, gets caught up by the Sejuani ult, and there's nothing they can do.
Yeah, I think arguably, you know, there's a case to be made that maybe a bit too comfortable, it seems, in a sense, with the way that they're playing, like a little bit too relaxed, I suppose. You know, we hold the thought, because we've got a bit of action in the middle here, and I think, burning the flash though. However, he walks back towards. That is so risky. Mental had gotten away and then turned around, thought the fight was over, but it wasn't, and he takes a great deal more damage, ends up going down. That's certainly questionable, and he burns both of his summoners for it.
Yeah, and they're going to take the mid lane out here. And they now get to drop
the rift for free.
Yeah. They'll get another bonk on the mid tower as well. That'll be great. Jin Lightning going in. Oh my god.
That is so much damage, to be honest. Considering he's 2 and 6 before that exchange, that is a great deal of damage. He knows what that Kai'Sa can do. I think that's what he's sort of trying to be forcing in the bot lane. He knows that he can do the damage. It's just been unfortunate situations early on. He's
just been trying to ignore that supports exist in the game, because he's just been trying to do that all game.
Yeah, it is a little bit difficult, but I think that play and the play from Tyrion, the point I was making before we saw that action in at middle, I think just kind of sums up the differences between these teams, right? Over on the Radiant side, they're a little relaxed. They're playing very confidently, maybe in places a bit too confidently. Meanwhile, on the Absolved side, they're just cool, calm, and collected, you know, playing it methodical, not getting too aggressive, not, as we saw, you know, Nico, before actually picking up the kill, landed a root, but was unsure of where.
That's a tilter.
You hate to see
it. It's alright, Void Terror manages to pick his one up, no problems though. And they've actually just left the red buff now. He had to go back to mid lane to farm
he
it
really
up.
doesn't want it.
Oh,
Because the thing
dear.
is, it's difficult, right? Because obviously he doesn't have the lifesteal yet, so he doesn't want to take a great deal of damage from the red buff before they get into the next fight.
Yeah, definitely.
But then also he doesn't want to spend like 20, 30 seconds attempting to take the red buff. So, problematic.
Yeah, no, and they will just take the dragon up here for free. They are giving a lot of topside pressure up there. Most of them in the red side jungle now. They may move and get that top tower for free.
Yeah, I mean, as far as
that.
drakes go, cloud drakes are not massive, right? It's not the end of the world if you give them away.
Although
but I
Nico's
suppose
going to come and
stacking
flank in here.
Yeah, this could be pretty huge. Nice bind coming through, though. Hyojung seemingly stopping any craziness from coming through. Are they going to try and force some kind of a 20-minute Baron? Don't think so. Neither team really is strong enough to go. What?
What?
I am.
Why is he there?
I
Why
am
is
so
he there?
confused. Yeah, like literally, that's just what we're watching, and he actually manages to pick up a kill. Like you made
It's
the joke
happening
earlier,
again.
Yeah, it is a little bit jinting, to be honest, but it's sort of working. The entire game, you talk about deja vu. The entire game, he has at the very least,
Gotten
in
the
most
kill.
situations, right, managed to 1-for-1 it. Even when he's 2 towers deep on the wrong side of the map with no teammates around. I have no idea what he's doing there.
I love it. I love it. The Chad play's coming out. He just wants to kill the enemy
man.
ADC as much as possible. He must maybe he saw the red buff play on the other side of the map with a ward and was like, I'm just gonna tilt this guy as much as possible. Maybe we see like a little disconnect coming out from Fuyu.
Possibly. But it kind of staying relatively even. I don't think the gold is massively different between those two ADs, kind of in terms of the items. Obviously going for the more AP heavy build as well on the Kai'Sa with that man immune. I think at the moment, I have kind of seen some people go in IE first item and things because you can get that Q upgrade very, very, very early on. But I think this is a little safer just because that hybrid damage is so very difficult to deal with.
Yeah, and they do have enough AD coming from the Kled and the Kindred as well, but...
Ooh, moving forwards? No, not going to commit. Not going to commit. Meanwhile, in the top sides...
Mister's 100% dead here.
No way. Yeah, this is definitely a kill. It's pretty free. I don't even think they needed the Ignite coming in. They will kind of trade that pressure towards the bot side, yeah.
Yeah, not too bad. I mean, 2k gold lead still coming out from Absolved. It's still very much up in the air for either team. You do see Infernal Drake, probably the better Drake of the two Wind Drakes I'd probably take on the other side. So it's still very much an even game. And as Kai'Sa looks to stack up Mana Mane as well, things will start to change when that gets full.
And I think the thing is now, with both the side lanes being relatively long, especially because it does look like over on the top side, Absolved are going to keep trying to whittle down that tower and eventually take it. It's kind of where I think this matchup between Kled and Kennen shifts a little bit more towards Kled, just because the escape option that Kennen has got from the Lightning Rush is not quite as prevalent, because obviously it doesn't last long enough. So I feel there is going to be a lot more... Yeah, exactly, there's going to be a lot more side lane pressure coming in from Dino Rakar, and then can very quickly rotate towards his team with that charge to just kind of, move in and force a fight when maybe he forces a back from Death by Lollipops.
Yeah, definitely. And Fuyu on the Sivir now moving towards his third item. The amount of gold that he's just been given to for free almost by Jinting and the bot side is going to start looking really, really scary.
Are we just committing to that name now? I think
when he has a good, I did that by mistake, to be honest. But
yeah, I know initially
when he does a good play, we'll call him Jinsane, and if he ints, we'll call him Jinting.
Okay, alright, fair enough. I like it. But yeah, I mean, he's still, the thing is though, all jokes aside, still got that pressure, like you say, got the scale on deck with that Manamune waiting for it. Shouldn't be too much longer now, I would have felt. I mean, it's not quite, just because the way that you go, you don't pick up the tier super early. I don't think it's as fast as, maybe something like an Ezreal or whatever. You're obviously not using as many abilities either. But all the same, I don't think it would be too much longer before we see that come out. And then, once the Nashers comes in, she will have all three of her, QWE maximized, and evolved.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, if you just look at the gold graph right now that I've got, you just see how much pressure is on Dino Ricard's shoulders. Every other member of his team down 1k, 2k, and a play coming in here.
Ooh. Yeah, pretty massive, actually. It looked like, they wanted to return things on the Radiant side. However, this is the wombo combo we were talking about. Look at the damage that is being dished out. No real opportunity to get a decent Soul Shackles off. No ultimate coming through from Jinting this time around, but
lovely.
all the ultimates being landed. Beautiful flash forwards from the Nico, and not quite going to find the kill of Dino Ricard yet. Anyway, it looks like he's getting a bit feisty, but no, he's not going to get the kill. He will end up surviving, but as you just sort of look across the hood, all the ultimates expended over on that Absolved side. Meanwhile, you still have that Kai'Sa, you still have that Morgana with theirs available on the Radiant side, and ultimately, it's a pretty free Baron here, but it's just that team comp coming into full fruition.
Yeah, no, I mean, like you said earlier, the team fight power from the side of Absolved really showing itself off now. They're getting so many picks off, they're getting so many good ultis off in those team fights. It's really not giving Radiant many chances to succeed. I mean, Dino Ricard is doing his best to try and deal out the damage and push things up in the side wave, but it's starting to look inescapable now. And
the thing is, in the team fights, it's a little bit unfortunate there. I think if he'd have been a bit earlier with the ultimate, could have pulled the rest of the team towards Jinting. Unfortunately, it's just not the case. Once again, he gets a little bit caught off guard. This time around, is not able to trade 1-for-1 as he just gets melted. But the issue, that they have is obviously that Kled is strong, but he's kind of strong in the 1 versus 1 situation. It's a bit more difficult for him to eliminate an entire team. Whereas, we just have those huge ultimates. Obviously, it's a bit of a broken record at this point, but just absolutely massive. And that team fight was a beautiful testament to how it can go.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, you look at the itemization from Dino Ricard as well. He's very much going for that top side split push. He's not got any armor. The Sivir is just going to absolutely shred him. I mean, to be honest, a Jinting play where he goes in and he gets the 1-for-1 against the Sivir would probably actually be the best thing for the game right now. She's just so huge right now, and I look at how much gold she has. She has, 2k gold lead over the Xayah. She's got her 3 items now. She's got the stopwatch for that safety as well. She's got so much peel when it comes to Nico, Sejuani, Nautilus. I don't see people touching her.
Yeah, pretty much. I think that's kind of the way that it's going. Ultimately, it looks like they are trying to engage with ResQ, at least off the back of the previous team fight. He opened things up. And the Sejuani is just kind of becomes the support, almost stuck like glue. Bit of aggression coming in here towards bot. Double E, of course, moving close. It looks like it is going to be a kill in the bot lane for the Kled. Maybe. Kennen's actually kiting back pretty well. Death by Lollipop's doing well. Flash comes in. The Zhonya's gets out of the slicing maelstrom, though. Oh,
that is unfortunate. But all this time, they're just wasting. They're taking down the mid tower. He does eventually take it, but...
It's all in vain. It's just completely nullified because it's like, oh, I get a kill, I get an extra, 300 gold for myself, but we lose the ADC once again, and we also lose an inhib. So the trade-off for one person to get 300 gold versus, the kind of the split of gold that comes in from getting that tower, and now another one in the top lane as well, the 125 apiece for everyone. So, 250 overall? Yeah, it's just not really worth it. Mathematically, it's just not really worth it.
Yeah, no, and I think I'm really enjoying it's our first game into the league, and the team with the arguably worse individual players and the better teamwork is actually pulling things ahead and making things happen. Think of how impactful Gecko was into getting that early and mid-side leads, and it's pretty good actually. I mean, you would always attribute maybe Jinting moving things in kind of screwed things up for themselves, but you would expect Radiant to be pulling ahead in the early game just on a pure mechanical basis with the champions they have and the amount of comfort they have on them.
Yeah, for sure. It's just a bit unfortunate as well. The Vel'Koz is something that we've not talked about a great deal, I feel, because Mental's just not really been doing a hell of a lot. Obviously, kind of behind here compared to pretty much everybody else on the map.
Yeah.
And that damage from the ultimate just not really had an opportunity to pull, you know, like a sick combo out with like the stun and the disintegration ray. It's just not really been ideal for the Vel'Koz either. So it's kind of, you know, the AD relatively non-existent, the mid laner relatively non-existent, and the comfort pick's just not working out this time around.
Yeah, no, Mental or Mr. Gun, all he really has to do is wave clear, which he has been doing, but if he gets a really strong ultimate off, I do see him burning through the Sejuani and the Nautilus maybe with his itemization, and maybe getting a few pokes off, but it's still looking really difficult. And when the Baron comes up in about a minute, if they're able to push in again, I foresee them taking another inhib and possibly the game.
Right. It's just the difficulty, I think, for the Vel'Koz is that lack of escape, really. He can't get too close because I guess the Sejuani prison is not really point and click, but it's kind of big enough. It's difficult to miss. Either way, hold the point because we do have a bit of a flank coming in here. Nice tank coming through from Gecko, making sure that his AD is well protected. Stopwatch comes through. This is where
the
huge
lovely from
ultimate
Death
again,
by
the cannon
Lollipops.
flash. That is fantastic. You know, got that flash forwards, got the proto belt as well. We'll eventually go down here, but in comes the Nico, another massive ultimate, landing onto 2, picking up a kill. In the meantime, huge shutdown does come through from Jinsane. I think he's deserved it, but unfortunately, the rest of the team not really able to do a great deal, just constantly backtracking, moving away. They don't have a great deal of disengage to deal with those massive ultimates. And once again, Dino Rakai finds himself still alive, but just nothing he can do other than attempt to wave clear.
1v2, which he may feel he has been in the game with the rest of the team performance, but still surviving. They're not going to finish it yet.
Very true. It just seems like every team fight, not quite as dominant, right? You know, in the previous game we saw Bulldog Esports just clean, right? But every fight is going the way of that Absolved side, and they're just kind of slowly but surely every fight edging further and further and further ahead, and you know, just kind of knocking on the door, so to speak, rather than smashing it down all in one go. They're working it slowly. Yeah,
definitely. And I mean, next fight, no flashes on the cannon, no flash on the Nico. They will find it difficult to get those perfect ultimates off like we saw in the last fight. So for the Baron up here, maybe they don't necessarily need them, but it would have been nice to have them still.
Well, I think we are going to see the last stand, perhaps, over towards that Baron. Maybe in a few moments' time. The setup coming in at the moment from Absolved in terms of that vision, of course, clearing things out, taking the scuttle. GA now picked up as well for the Sivir. The GA, interestingly enough, on the Kled, so he may well, Dino Ricard, go a bit deeper. You know, Kled is definitely one of those champions that benefits from having the GA, obviously the sense of the item itself, but also it combines quite well with his passive. You know, gives him the opportunity to maybe have 3 lives as opposed to 2. Great little catch coming in here. He's so far ahead. It's a great deal of damage onto the Nautilus. Got to be careful not to expend too much and also leave that back line open. Morgana going to fall. Once again, the Soul Shackle's not really coming off. However, they've managed to catch round the back the Sivir.
The minions are pushing into the towers, though, in the Nexus.
Yeah, they've got to be careful to commit, you know, super hard on this. The Kindred eventually going to go down. Slicing Maelstrom this time around only going to land onto 1. Dino Ricard does not really care. Baron helping out a bit onto the kill of Mental, but again,
Dino Ricard just 1v9.
It's beautiful stuff. He is going to get taken off of Skarl, however, but it
He's
doesn't really matter.
actually
He's still
1v9.
He's still got the GA available. Sedge not going to get away. Nice bit of movement coming over. Surely going to find this. Surely just 1 more auto. 2 more,
He's
I guess.
got him.
Get Skarl back.
Dino Ricard, you're insane!
It's really good stuff coming in. Absolutely fantastic. And it has, you know, he finds the initial catch, right? Which the misposition from Rescue. But for me, I think the big play there was catching that Sivir off guard. You know, Jinsane can join the Kled quite easily with the ultimate of that Kai'Sa.
Definitely.
And they just find another pick that, you know, I think that one was a little unexpected for sure over on the Absolved side.
We will see people move towards the Baron now. We got Kled initiating it. No one from the Absolved side really up. There's no TP on the cannon. They made up to take this for free. We do have Sivir that has the ultimate in, but they're just going to go for the dragon. They're giving up.
They're a bit too far away at this point. I think not really grouped up. It's probably a situation where if they tried to go in, they'd maybe postpone it, but might end up, losing a little more, and it's kind of, you don't want to give them too much of an advantage. The Infernal, I think, it is kind of the correct call.
Even if Absol win the game, I want to give the MVP to Dino Ricard for that fight. That was insane. They would have lost 10 minutes ago if it wasn't for him. I appreciate he got, maybe another kill here, potentially.
Yeah, I was going to say, it's a little risky to just go flying over.
Pops the ultimate.
He's going to commit his ultimate to this, but again, that's so the Kai'Sa can join him and dish out the damage. Pretty clean once again, and it's another caught out player over on that Absolved side.
Yeah, no, you really got to be careful. The Kled ult, the Kai'Sa ult to be able to join so easily, it's really, really dangerous. And getting caught out like that's just going to stall the game long enough for Radiant, the rest of the members from Radiant to come back into the game.
Right. Interestingly enough, they actually seem to have a relatively good little pick based duo going on. Just because of how strong this Kled is, but the Kai'Sa definitely dishing out the damage as well.
Yeah, no, Dino's just doing his best to help Jin Lightning get his KDA back.
Right. That's what it's all about, dude. That's what it's all about. But, at the end of the day, you have to look at some of the itemization as well. Over on the Absolved side, there's not a massive amount of MR. So that kind of, helps out the Kai'Sa, again, with that sort of hybrid damage, able to just tear through people, really. And the Q damage as well, when it gets upgraded, is just absolutely massive.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, looking at the dragons that have been taken right now, both of them Infernals, those will start to be coming online now. It's really, really good that Radiant managed to pick that one up as well. Maybe they would have been falling even further behind if the Infernal had gone to the other side as well. And we will see the Elder Drake come up in about 3 minutes' time.
Just to sort of quickly interject, I think that was, the idea behind the decision to completely drop the Baron. Is just damage control, as it were.
Yeah, definitely.
Well, a little quiet at the moment. The calm before the storm, I feel.
Yeah, I mean, there's no massive objectives to take. It's a bit difficult for both teams to push right now. You've got the Vel'Koz with the wave clear on Radiant side, and then you've got Sivir on the other. They do have the Baron, but... and I've... There we go. I froze for 2 seconds there. Yeah, no, wave clear on both sides makes things very difficult to push out, even with a Baron buff. Maybe we're going to be looking at a pick that comes out that may decide things, but until then, both teams just going to farm up, and that's really going to benefit Radiant. I mean, looking at the red side as well, a lot of champions reaching their full build. I mean, the gold's not going to mean anything after that. As long as Radiant can equalize the gold, I think that they'll be able to come back and actually start winning some fights again.
Yeah, I think the thing is, at this point, just for a little while longer, I think they're still looking to have, an early advantage before they move into the fight. Like you say, that kind of that pick that they have successfully gained before the previous 2 fights that ended up going their way, right? So on the Absolved side, if they're the ones that can find the good engage with that kind of confident play style, again, we saw Death by Lollipops, we saw Void Terror kind of in the mid game with some massive ultimates. If they can do the same, because that was another thing for me, the Kennen, he dropped his Slicing Maelstrom on one person, and it was Dino Ricard. He doesn't care, he really. He's got so
much MR that it's not going to really do anything to him, and with the Merc Treads, the CC isn't really doing very much either.
Yeah, so it was pretty much nullified in that fight around Baron. Coming up for about 10 minutes ago, to be fair. But it looks like, they are going to move towards this Elder, so I think this is going to be the fight that we have been waiting for just shortly.
Decent vision coverage from red side so far. They got the pink up there. Maybe if they move in a little bit later, but I think too much at a standstill for them to move in.
Ooh. That is a hell of a lot of damage coming in from afar, to be honest. In comes the Kled from the side as well. Moving forwards, it will be
straight onto the backline. And Ginseng! Or should I say Ginseng?
Yeah, I know. He's surviving. Actually dealing a great deal of damage on towards the cannon. I thought he was not long for this world. This is going really, really well for Radiant. The heal just about saving Gecko. But unfortunately, that objective is going to fall as it spawns here, and they will very quickly be able to take down this Elder Dragon and continue to, you know, push the advantage that they've found and keep forcing fights.
Yeah, no, it just feels like Ginseng can go in and pick off whoever he wants to one-shot, and he does it.
Right. This is the thing, though, like, what I kind of talked about a little bit in the draft, where the strat book, you know, the playbook for the Absolved side is really not that deep. There's not a great deal going on past the ultimates, and you know, it's two fights now. In that fight, Void Terror gets taken out, not able to do anything. The Kennen, you know, he tried, but again, they're not as strong as they once were. So now people have been able to itemize against, you know, the ultimates and things, and are a little bit more prepared and are making sure that they are the ones finding the hard engage, and therefore there's no dictation of the pace. There's no dictation of how the fight goes from that Absolved side. They're constantly on the back foot. Yeah,
I will just highlight the flash for Kennen and Nico, both up right now for the next fight. If they can hold off until the dragon buff goes down, that could be a way that they get back in. And I think that they would, if they get two really, really good Kennen ults and a Nico ult with the flashes, I think that's a way that they could win.
For sure. It could be absolutely huge. But the Kled ultimate is back up. They're looking to engage again. The issue, of course, you can't really direct it, so he's not going to land onto anybody particularly.
I mean, they
but
still
at this point, again, like you say, okay, Ginseng moving forwards. Again,
oh, what a pop.
So very aggro. It plays off. Fantastic stuff coming in from him. And once again, the slicing Maelstrom not really going to find anything. Gets absolutely shut down. Fantastic flashes forward, coordinated as well to make sure that, you know, the Kled constantly having help, just waiting for this GA.
I think that's
down
game.
Goes Sivir, and
the
I think
the
so.
Death time, the death time is so
41
long.
minutes in.
Yeah, I don't see. Oh, maybe they're just backing. No, they're gonna wait. Yeah, no, I think maybe they have time. I mean, they got 30 seconds on Nico. She could wave clear. They have Nautilus as well. They'll at least get the inhib here, and then they could fall back and go to the Baron.
Yeah, looks like they're going to try and end, though. And like we said, it's definitely doable. Also, I'm really not sure. Rescue just seems to be...
he's just AFK base. He's given up.
Yeah,
no, and that's the game for Radiant. Dino Ricard! I mean, I think that's obvious MVP. He absolutely 1v9'd some of those fights. I mean,